Princess Leonor and Prince Christian's royal marriage vows stun the world. The cathedral bells ring across Copenhagen. Flags flutter. The world expects a ceremony, polite, predictable, royal. And then, silence, a pause. Two young heirs stand before the altar. Eyes locked. Voices trembling. And what comes next shatters every expectation. Not formal vows read from a script. Not rehearsed lines echoed through tradition. Instead, Princess Leonor of Spain and Prince Christian of Denmark speak from their hearts. In words no one prepared, they tell a story of love, sacrifice, and unity that crosses nations. The room gasps. Cameras flash. The world leans in. How did we get here? Why did two of Europe's most watched royals break centuries of protocol? What did they risk, and what did they hope to gain? This is the story of a wedding that became more than a wedding, a declaration of a new kind of monarchy. It began with a friendship forged years ago. Leonor, the poised heir to Spain's throne. Christian, Denmark's prince-in-waiting. They met at joint royal gatherings, their paths crossing quietly behind the glare of cameras. Letters were exchanged. Shared causes united them: education, climate, youth engagement. While the public saw only glances, a deeper bond was forming, one that would one day redefine Europe's royal map. As their engagement became public, speculation erupted. Would this be a marriage of state or a marriage of love? Would old traditions hold, or would a new story unfold? Every royal watcher had a theory. None imagined what would actually happen at the altar. The day of the wedding dawned bright and cold. Copenhagen's cobblestone streets filled with spectators from Spain, Denmark, and beyond. Banners bearing both nations' flags hung from lampposts. The cathedral, centuries old, glowed with candlelight. Inside, heads of state, crowned heads, and dignitaries whispered as they waited. Leonor entered first, wearing a gown that blended Spanish lace with Danish embroidery, a living symbol of two houses intertwined. Christian followed, in a uniform tailored to echo both militaries, carrying a small book. Many thought it was a prayer book. It was not. The ceremony began according to plan: music, readings, blessings. Then the moment came for the vows. The priest nodded, expecting the traditional lines. Instead, Leonor stepped forward. She unfolded a handwritten page. Her voice shook but did not falter. I, Leonor, take you, Christian, not only as my husband but as my partner in service. I promise to walk with you across borders, to hold Spain and Denmark in one heart, and to place our people before ourselves. Gasps filled the cathedral. No royal bride had ever spoken of service and people in vows. This was not romance alone. It was a manifesto. Christian responded in kind. He opened the small book. Inside were words he had written during a secret visit to Madrid months earlier. I, Christian, take you, Leonor, as my wife and as my equal. I vow to defend your country as I do mine, to listen to your people as my own, and to make our marriage a bridge where Europe meets. Reporters later said the air seemed to thicken with emotion. Guests wept openly. Even seasoned monarchs dabbed their eyes. For a moment, the weight of history lifted, and something new stood in its place. Why did they do it? Sources close to both families reveal months of preparation. Leonor and Christian worked quietly with their parents to craft vows that reflected their generation. They insisted on writing their own words, even as palace advisors warned against it. It will be too political, some said. Too personal, said others. But the young couple held firm. Their decision was rooted in more than romance. Both had seen how public distrust of royalty had grown. Both had studied modern leadership. They believed that by showing authenticity at the altar, they could renew the institution they were born into. This wedding became a mirror for Europe. In Spain, debates erupted about what it meant for a future queen to pledge herself to another nation. In Denmark, headlines celebrated Christian's vow to defend Spain as unprecedented solidarity. Across the continent, young people shared clips of the vows, calling them the first real royal words of our time. After the ceremony, instead of the usual procession, Leonor and Christian walked out hand in hand into the square. No carriage, no staged wave, just a simple walk among the people. Security held back but did not block the crowd. Children handed them flowers. One elderly woman pressed a note into Leonor's hand, "For your courage." Inside the reception hall, tradition resumed, but even here, subtle changes spoke volumes. The seating plan mixed Spanish and Danish citizens, not just elites. The first toast went not to royalty but to our shared future. The music alternated between Spanish guitar and Danish folk songs. Every detail told the same story, two nations bound not by politics but by shared humanity. Royal historians will analyze this day for decades. Some will call it risky. Others will call it genius. But no one can deny its impact. Already, polls in both countries show a surge in support for the monarchy. Young Europeans say they feel seen. The vows have become a viral video translated into dozens of languages. As the night wore on, Leonor and Christian danced their first dance, not to a traditional waltz but to a simple melody played by a youth orchestra they had sponsored together. The lyrics spoke of bridges, journeys, and home. Watching them, guests felt not just the joining of two lives but the beginning of a new royal era. What happens next? Will their actions change the way future royal weddings are held? Will other heirs follow their lead, speaking from the heart rather than the script? Each answered question leads to another, keeping the world's eyes fixed on this young couple. In the days after the wedding, newspapers printed their vows in full. Schools discussed them in civics classes. Leaders quoted them in speeches about unity. The impact spread far beyond palace walls. And yet, at the center of it all, Leonor and Christian remain simply two young people who chose authenticity over protocol. Their story resonates because it feels real. Because it shows that even at the highest levels of tradition, there is room for humanity. As you picture that cathedral, the candlelight, the trembling voices, the stunned faces of kings and queens, you understand why the world is still talking. This was not just a wedding. This was a moment when history bent, ever so slightly, towards something new. When the bells stopped ringing and the cameras turned away, the couple stood alone for a moment, looking out over Copenhagen. No audience, no script. Just two hands entwined. And perhaps that is the real vow, not the words spoken, but the life they are about to live. This is how Princess Leonor and Prince Christian's royal marriage vows stunned the world. Not by spectacle, but by sincerity, not by grandeur, but by grace. And as their story unfolds, one question draws us all back, looping our curiosity again and again: what will they dare to do next?